Hey guys, it is me, TK Barlow from the Barlow Group tax and accounting firm. Hey, I hope that you are thriving on today. I hope that your business is thriving, that your health is thriving, that your family and your money is all thriving. So, guys, we are going to cover today how to keep your business organized and compliant. So, for those of you who are not that familiar with me, again, my name is TK Barlow, and I am the owner of the Barlow Group tax and accounting firm. I come from a kind of a family that had the entrepreneur spirit. You know, we all have been bitten with that bug from one time or another. My mom, she comes from the tax industry. I have two brothers. One brother owns a sports bar. The other brother, he is in real estate. But guys, as far as I can remember, my entire life, it was my granddaddy. He is the one who inspired me. He had a cleaning business, and he had this cleaning business all my life. And so the neat thing about my granddaddy is every Christmas he would come pick me up and we would go Christmas shopping. And he would pick me up in his big old work van, right? So at this time, I may have been, let's say, about 4, 5, 6 years old. And he would come and pick me up. He would take me to Walmart and he would say, okay, you can get whatever you want. And my granddaddy was really, really short and he had those thick glasses. And he always had this cigar in his mouth, but it was never lit. So, but anyway, my granddaddy would say, you can get whatever toy you want. And so I would immediately head for the doll aisle or the easy bake oven aisle. But then he would say, it has to be educational. So I'm like, oh my God, it has to be educational. So I had just about all of the techie kind of computery kind of toys, like the speaking spells and all of those. I had those because I could only get educational toys. But the neat thing about my granddad is on the way home, he would tell me to call my grandmother. And he would pull out this big old huge bag and he would unzip it and take out this big old phone, right? And he would say, call your grandmother and let her know we're on the way home. So I would call my grandma and be like, hey, I'm calling you from granddaddy's cell phone from his van. And I thought that was just the most amazing, fantastic thing that I have ever done. Like, I called my grandmother from my granddaddy's van on his cell phone. And so I thought that was so neat. And so back at that young age, that gave me the impression if I wanted to be able to ride around with a phone in my vehicle, I was going to need to have my own business because at the age of 6, 5, and 6 and 7, that is the impression that I got from my granddaddy. To me, riding around with your cell phone in your vehicle spelled success to me. And so that's what I wanted to do. That was my why at the age of 6, 5, and 6 years old, was to be able to get a cell phone to ride around with. And not knowing in 2022, everybody was going to have a cell phone in their car. But that was my why. So, of course, since then, my why have definitely matured as I have matured and gotten older. So, as many entrepreneurs and other bosses, we come to a period in our lives where enough is enough, right? And then we come up with our why. We have to, maybe it's like different kind of circumstances or a situation that helps us define our why we want to actually step out and own a business or step out and be our own boss, right? So my why was I was not having enough time for my family. I was not having enough time for my kids. I didn't have enough money to be able to do what I wanted to do and live comfortably. I was tired of going from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck from paycheck. After 16 years, I was doing this from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and I was still coming up broke. So it's like, why am I investing all of this time, literally all of this time, into someone else's company? And I'm still broke. So I was tired of, living paycheck to paycheck. I was tired of being undervalued. I was tired of not being recognized. I was just tired of not being paid my true worth. And how many of us have ever been there before? You're tired of not being paid your worth. If that's you, if you feel that in your spirit right there, drop me a number 1 in the comments below. I was tired of not being paid what I thought was my true value. Okay. And I was just craving to do more, to be able to offer the world more, to be able to offer my people more, my community. So for me, it was definitely time to break the chains of mediocrity. It was time for me to just figure out what I wanted to do and just go for it, you know? So, but back in 2016, you know, I had my business idea. I had my why, the reasons of why I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I had my business cards. I had my website going. And for me, in my head, I was ready to take over my industry. You know, I was ready to make an impact. I was ready to change some lives. I was ready to inspire other people to get out there and, you know, create the life that they actually want. However, like again, so many other entrepreneurs, we will have our products, we'll have our services that we want to offer, but we fail and neglect to take care of the back end office, is what we're going to call it, the back office of our business, right? Every business has a back office, meaning responsibilities with the paperwork, making sure all your finances are okay, making sure that you're tracking those 3 major key statements, all of those things. Like, I was not on task as far as that goes. I was a chronic commingler. Now, if you don't know what a chronic commingler is, it's someone that mixes their expenses, business expenses, with your personal expenses. I'll break it down further for you. I was buying my tax software, my business cards, as well as my groceries, get my hair and my nails done, all from one account. Now, if you are a boss and an entrepreneur, business 101 is that you separate your personal from your business. There are a couple of reasons for this. I'll give you one reason is when it comes down to tax time and you bring me your paperwork and you say, okay, I only have one account though. That's going to take me a long time to go through all of your expenses to pick out the ones that are actually your business expenses. And when you are trying to apply for loans and for grants, they want to see your numbers. And your numbers do not need to be mixed up with, you know, your grocery list. So you went out to Walmart. That does not need to be mixed up. So to be professional, you want to make sure that you're not commingling and that you have your personal and your business separated, okay? So for me in 2016, I was also a serial procrastinator, meaning that I won't say I never did things on time, but when I had time to do the things, I chose rather to do something else than to handle my business. And so you don't want to be lazy when it comes to owning and operating a business, okay? So another trait that I had back in 2016 was I was a receipt hoarder and I kept nothing in order. Now, I know you hear a lot about keeping your receipts as an entrepreneur. Yes, you must do this. But not only keep them, but keep them in order. Because I had all my receipts. Now, if you would have come to me and say, hey, do you have your receipts? I would say, yes, I have every receipt of everything I have ever purchased. However, I was not keeping them to organize them and to write them up for my taxes. No, I was just keeping them because I had not thrown them out yet. So it's a difference, okay? And you want to make sure that you're keeping all of your receipts so that you can turn those receipts into dollars when it comes time to do your taxes and you're not having to scramble for them or, you know, go search and find them, but you have everything already in order. And so for me, back in 2016, I had no idea of what I was doing on the back end, like my back office. I had no idea of my true numbers. I was not, tracking my expenses and my income. I was not running those 3 major statements that you need every month. I was not doing any of those things. And so if you wanted to know my financial story of my business, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I wasn't keeping up with my numbers. Because knowing your numbers is knowing your story. So know your story so that you can be able to convey the value of your business. So guys, this, to sum it all up, I had very poor habits back in 2016. I had zero structure when it came to building my business. Now, I knew what product and services that I wanted to offer, yes, but when it actually comes down to building my business, I had no structure. I had poor habits. I was not disciplined in anything. And so you need to consider your habits when you are going into your own business. Now, so when you're talking about being an entrepreneur, we all have our poor habits, right? We have things that we do or things that we should not do. But in order to, it's a quote, it says, in order to be a successful entrepreneur, first we must be the boss of our own business. So what does that mean? It means being a boss takes discipline and it takes a lot of structure, guys. So you have to go back and examine your personal life because maybe there are some bad habits that you need to get rid of. And maybe there are some things that you need to tighten up on, like as far as like your organization. Because if you're unorganized in your personal life, you're probably going to be unorganized in your business. So that's definitely something that you want to look at. Because if you are lazy around the house, you may be a little lazy when it comes to doing your invoicing and stuff like that. Because we need extra motivation to be able to get into the mood to look at numbers and look at paperwork and look at trends and all that type of things when it comes to our business. So, according to the Bureau of Labor, they tell us that 20% of businesses fail within the first year. The first year. And then by the end of the second year, 30% of businesses fail. Then by the end of the fifth year, about half of those businesses have all failed. And then for the 10th year anniversary, about 70% of businesses will fail. So why is this? Now, we talked about our why and our reason. So what is taking our why for developing our business and causing us to put it back on the shelf? Like, what is causing the death of our dreams, the death of our legacies, the death of our ideas? Like, what is causing us to just say, you know what, I give up? 70% of bosses, of entrepreneurs, come to this state and they feel like, you know what, I'm just going to throw in a towel. So what is the reasoning do you guys think this is happening? So I'm going to give you the top 2 reasons. The top 2 reasons for business failure is, number 1, is the lack of demand for a product or a service. That's number 1. So this is kind of understandable. It's kind of not, it's kind of out of our control when, we have a product, we have a service, because the market changes so much and technology changes so much. Maybe that product or that service is not necessarily in demand. And so you have to throw in a towel, or you have to take your idea and tweak it a little bit. So that's the number 1 reason for business failure. But number 2 is cash flow. It's the cash flow of what's coming in and what's going out. The number 2 reason is cash flow problems. So why is this? Because managing money is the number 1 stumbling block for new businesses. So Tom Raymond, he gives us a quote. He says, I put tremendous emphasis on cash flow and having a solid financial platform. He says, most startups don't even know what an Excel spreadsheet is. And that's really, really bad. And now we can see why 70% of business owners will not celebrate their 10th anniversary because we're not putting enough weight or enough pressure on the fact that we need to have a solid financial platform, right? Because when we are coming up with our business ideas, okay, I'm going to sell this, I'm going to offer this, we also need to come up with how am I going to track my money? If that's not number one, it's definitely number two, right up under the product and what product and service you're going to sell. Because it's important for us to be running those 3 major reports that we need to run every month. And we need to track our income and our expenses. And then if we're doing that monthly, the cash flow problem is not going to creep up on us. Like, we're going to see it and we're going to be able to adjust where we need to, right? Because, guys, accounting is the language of business. Accounting is to business like language is to communication. So if you want to be able to run a good business, you need to learn the language of accounting. No, I'm not telling you to go take an accounting class. That's not what I'm saying. But I am telling you that there is a basic understanding that every business owner should know. Am I saying that you have to do your own books? No, because that's the business that I am in. Like, I want to do your books. However, I also want to give you the knowledge and the understanding of basic accounting so that you can help your business stay afloat as well. So, and you must know how to communicate the language of business to be seen as a true entrepreneur. Your bookkeeping is what communicates your company's value and its worth. So if you go into a bank or if you go into somewhere and you're trying to apply for a loan or a grant, you can give them all the story about when you was, when your granddad used to take you to Walmart and all that stuff and you knew you wanted to be a boss, etc., etc. However, at the end of the day, they want to know your story. Well, they want to know the story of your numbers. They want to know, how much money did you start out with? How did you pivot through COVID? Like, they want to know things like that. They want to see your numbers because your numbers is what's going to communicate your value and the worth of your company, right? So if you're going to the same bank and you say, hey, I need a loan, but I don't have any records because I didn't keep my books because I was too busy trying to figure out how to market. So I didn't keep any records. They're going to look at you like, okay, yeah, we cannot take you seriously because we need numbers. Like, that's how they communicate. That's how businesses communicate to see if you are going to be able to get a loan or to be able to get a grant. They're going to look at your numbers because accounting is the language of business, okay? So there are many benefits when it comes to bookkeeping, as well as knowing your numbers. You're going to know what's happening on a basic financial level. You're going to know what's coming in. You're going to know what's going out, okay? So bookkeeping is also good for filing your taxes. As I mentioned earlier, you're not going to come in with a big shoebox full of receipts because you're going to have them already organized because you're doing your bookkeeping, or I'm doing your bookkeeping. So it's going to be organized, and filing your taxes is going to be a breeze. So also with bookkeeping, you're able to analyze your spending and improve your business budgeting, right? If something is not working, we're going to figure out why is it not working. And then for the things that are working, we can look at it and say, okay, yes, this is working. Let's improve on this and get rid of the things that are not working. Okay. So bookkeeping is also going to protect your business in the event of an IRS audit. If you were ever audited, right, they want to see what expenses you have taken, what deductions you have taken. If you don't have record of this, you're going to be in a little trouble. But if you have your bookkeeping is tight and is right, oh yeah, you're not going to have any problems because you're able to prove everything that you have, put on your taxes. So bookkeeping is definitely going to protect you in the event of an audit. So when it comes to the IRS, they have 9 things to determine whether your activity is a hobby or if it's a business. And before they want to know what you're selling, before they want to know if you plan on making a profit, they want you to understand that your activity has to maintain complete and accurate books and records. So whatever you're doing, you need to have complete and accurate books or records. So they don't tell you how you need to do it. They're not saying, okay, you have to use QuickBooks or you have to use spreadsheets. They're not saying what you have to do, but they are telling you that you need to have complete and accurate books and records. Like, you need to be doing something. So if you're not, many of us, when we start our businesses, we do not have enough money to go out and hire a bookkeeper or hire an accountant. So if you don't have those funds to do that, then just go out and purchase a bookkeeping course that's going to help you understand the basic principles. If you can't do that yet, then just go ahead and get you learn how to use the spreadsheets to track your things, because you at least need to track your expenses and your income, right? Then if you're not able to do that, honey, go ahead and get you a piece of paper and a pen and track your stuff. But understand that it is very imperative that you track your expenses and your income at the min. Other than that, you need to be creating those 3 major financial reports and tracking your expenses for your deductions. So, speaking of, so what should we track as professional entrepreneurs? All right, so as far as your statement goes, you hear me say the 3 key statements. They are your balance sheet, your cash flow, your profit and loss. Your balance sheet is going to tell you how much your business is worth. Your cash flow is going to tell you where your money is going, because we have all been there and was like, I know I killed it last month, but I ain't got no money. Like, where did my money go? Yes, your cash flow is going to show you exactly where your money is going. And the profit and loss is going to show your business profitability. I can't get it out. So it's going to tell you if you are losing money or if you are actually making money. Because back in 2016, I knew I was making money. I had transactions going on. Like, I was bringing in clients, but because I was not actually doing my numbers, I was not able to get my full income and then subtract my expenses, and then that will be my true profit. So that's why it's important for us to have to show our profit and our losses and your cash flow and your balance sheet. Do you guys remember when we were younger and we would play store, like with the Monopoly money, and you may have had some toys or something you played with your cousin, and you would give them they would give you the Monopoly money and you would give them a toy and you would say, okay, that's going to be $5.99, and you would make a transaction. But of course you did not record it because you were playing store. But that's how we are today. If we're not recording our expenses and our income, and if we're not recording our expenses, and if we're not tracking everything, we're just basically still 6 years old playing store, guys. So let's not do that. Like, let's be on top of our game and intentionally be successful in our companies. So what else do you need to track and organize? You need to track and organize those receipts again. And it's very easy to do this because we know that receipts fade and you can totally go paperless. There are a couple of apps that you can look up and where you're able to just take a picture of the expense and you can upload it to your phone or you can upload it to your desktop. But it's very important to make sure that you keep it and that you have those when it comes time to file your taxes, okay? So another thing that you need to track is your expenses, as I mentioned before. Now, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, the one big perk is, you're able to write off a lot of things. And so you want to also make sure that you have a good support system when it comes to your accountant or your bookkeeper, because you don't want to write anything off that does not apply to your business. Now, there are some general things you can write off, like your internet and your phone, your advertising, things like that. But when it comes to other things, maybe like office supplies and things of that nature, you want to make sure that those things qualify for your business. Like if I have a hair salon, I can't write off my lawnmower because I'm not in landscaping. So things like that. So have someone that is able to walk you through this process when it comes to tracking down your expenses. And another thing you should track, if you drive for your business, you need to track those mileage. So to just write them down, like, okay, I drove 5 miles today. That's not good enough. You have to have a legitimate log to write down your miles in order to deduct them, okay? So you have to have like your total mileage for the year, the dates, the destinations, and the purpose of each trip. And it's totally worth it. I know, like, I'm talking about a lot of stuff that you have to track and monitor and record, but that's the cost the cost you have to pay to be a successful entrepreneur, because we're not trying to fall in this 70% failure rate, right? So these are the things that it's going to take for us to be successful. But anyway, so getting back to your mileage, when you write down these things, everything is going to be tax deductible. So those miles definitely turn into dollars. So just to recap, everything an entrepreneur should know how to track. You want to be able to track those financial statements, the balance sheet, the cash flow, the profit and loss. You want to track those receipts, your business expenses, and your mileage. So guys, it's important again to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, the world is not going to take you seriously as an entrepreneur, and you're likely to fall within that 70% failure rate. And that's not what we're doing. We are creating our businesses and our companies to be successful, right? That goes back to our why. So our why deserves the fighting chance to be successful. So you have to know those numbers, whether it's for your why, whether it's for the IRS or for the government, you have to know it. Not knowing your why, not having bookkeeping in your business is like going to the movies. Everyone is waiting. We're in our seats. We're trying to, what's she going to do? What are you going to do? What do you got today? What's she doing today? We have expectation of you, right? But if you're not tracking your story, your numbers, if you're not creating the story for us to see, it's like going to a movie. But we're gathered and we're waiting, but you have no story to tell. You have no records. It's no recording. It's no movement. It's no growth. It's just nothing. And that's not where we want you to be. We want you to start telling your stories with your numbers. We want to know the bumps in the roads. We want to know when you had to pivot. We want to know when you almost quit, but you didn't. We want to know when you came up with something else that was going to, bring in more money for you. Like, we want to know those things, because that's how you're going to track the growth of your business. So why not? Why not tell us what happened? Why not track your hard-earned sweat and tears? We want to know. We want to know how you're building your business, how you're becoming successful. We want to know those things. And in order to know that, you got to be tracking those numbers. So guys, look, this is what I'm offering for you. If you want the basic bookkeeping course, you can get 25% off when you use the promo code QuickBooks. This is going to be available July 1st if you go to www.tkbarlow.com. And it's going to give you all the definitions that you need to know. It's going to give you ways to generate those 3 key statements that we talked about. It's going to go in further detail of how to look at those numbers and how to read those reports, because those are things that we need, the basic things that we need as a successful business owner. And as you know, I do offer bookkeeping. That's going to cover like your accounts payable, receivables, managing your receipts, your statements, your free QuickBooks subscription, and also your personal and business tax preparation. So if there's anything that you need us to customize for you that you're able to, get off to a good foot and be successful, we can also do that as well. And just because you hung in there with me, you're also able to get a free copy of Tax Deductions Every Boss Should Know. You can go to www.tkbarlow.com, type in the word greatness 2022, and you'll get a free download for that copy. And I thank you for hanging out with me, and cheers to you and to a great 2022.